lecture of thermodynamics. In this lecture, we'll talk about first law of thermodynamics, then we'll discuss about heat capacity, and then at the last we'll see the Joule's experiment. So in our previous lecture, we have discussed about state function and about path function. There we have discussed that heat, work, heat capacities, these are path functions, and internal energy, what you designate as U or E, is a state function. So in the previous lecture, we have discussed that work and heat, the two modes of transformation of energy, work and heat, these two are path function. Heat capacity is also path function, and internal energy is a state function. Now, when we have discussed about the properties or the features, the important point regarding state function, there we have discussed that when if we say that suppose z is a state function, then the cyclic integral of dz is equal to 0. This is true if this z is a state function. But if this z is a path function, if this z is a path function, then the cyclic integral of dz will not be equal to 0. This we have discussed in our previous discussion. And also, if you have followed the previous discussion, there we have discussed that if z is a state function, then dz is an exact differential. dz is an exact differential. And if z is not a state function, that means if z is a state path function, then dz is an inexact differential. This we have discussed in our previous lecture. Now, what do we mean by exact? That means if we take the integration of dz within a definite value from z1 to z2, then this will be equal to z2 minus z1. This you will get after the integration within a definite value. So this is true if dz is an exact differential. But if dz is not an exact differential, that means if dz is an inexact differential, in that case this will not be true. Okay, fine. So now we know that work, heat capacity, these are path function, internal energy is a state function. So if we apply these properties, so then what we can write is that you have dq, you have dw, so this will be inexact differential. Fine, this will be inexact differential. And if you take du or you write de, whatever it is, the change in internal energy, so du, as u is a state function, so du will be an exact differential. That means if you do integration from u1 to u2 of du, you will get u2 minus u1. But if you do integration of q1 to q2 dq, then you cannot write q2 minus q1. This you cannot write because this dq is an inexact differential. Fine. Okay. So also if we apply the property of cyclic integral, then the cyclic integral of dq will not be equal to 0. The cyclic integral of dw will not be equal to 0, but the cyclic integral of du will be equal to 0 because u is a state function. So if you summarize these three things, heat, work and internal energy, these three things, so what you will get if you summarize that, if you compare these three, heat, work, internal energy, then what we will get? This is a path function. This is path function. Work is also a path function, but this is a state function. Fine. So as it is a path function, so the cyclic integral of dq will not be equal to 0. The cyclic integral of dw will not be equal to 0, but the cyclic integral of du will be equal to 0. Fine. And also this dq will be inexact differential, so it will be inexact differential. dw will be inexact differential, and this du will be exact differential. Okay, so this you will get if you compare heat, work and internal energy. Fine. Okay, now let's talk about internal energy. So we designate internal energy as U, or you can designate it as E also. So suppose there is a system and energy is given to the system. So energy is given to the system, or work is done on the system, then the internal energy increases. In fact, energy is stored within the system in the form of internal energy. Now, this internal energy depends upon the chemical nature of the substance, and it also depends upon the temperature, pressure and volume. That means you can write internal energy is a function of temperature, pressure and volume. Fine. So when heat is exchanged between system and surrounding, work is done on the system or by the system, the molecular motions are affected. Now when I say molecular motions, that means translational motion, rotational motion, vibrational motion. So these are affected. So in that case, there will be a change in internal energy. We designate it as delta U, that will be equal to Q plus W. This is the mathematical form of first law of thermodynamics. As you know, according to IUPAC, work is minus PdV. So this you can write in this form also, dq equal to du plus PdV. Okay, this you can also write. The first law of thermodynamics is also called as law of conservation of energy. Because it states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to another form. So the first law of thermodynamics is also called as the law of conservation of energy. Okay, and this is the mathematical form of first law of thermodynamics. Because you know, according to IUPAC, work is equal to minus PdV. Okay. So this is about first law of thermodynamics. Now we'll move into heat capacity. Now let's talk about heat capacity. Suppose there is a substance and the substance is at temperature T1. Now suppose you want to increase the temperature of the substance from T1 to T2, and for that you need heat. You need dq amount of heat. Now if you take the ratio of this dq to change in temperature, that means T2 minus T1, that means you are taking dq by dt, this ratio dq by dt, this we call as C, or you can say heat capacity. So heat capacity is equal to dq by dt. Fine. Now if this dt is equal to 1 degree centigrade, then in that case C is equal to dq. That means if you want to raise the temperature of a substance 1 degree centigrade by 1 degree centigrade, then the heat required for it is known as the heat capacity. Fine. So what I am saying, heat capacity is the ratio of the heat required by the temperature difference generated by that heat. That means C, heat capacity, is equal to dQ by dt. Now if dt is equal to 1 degree centigrade, in that case C becomes equal to dQ. That means if you want to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade, then the heat required for that is called as heat capacity. So if you want to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade, the heat required for it is known as the heat capacity. Now when I say 1 degree centigrade, dt equal to 1 degree centigrade, this I can also write dt is equal to 1 Kelvin also, because 1 degree change in temperature in degree centigrade or in Kelvin is same thing, because suppose T1 is equal to 25 degree centigrade and T2 is suppose 26 degree centigrade. In that case dt is 1 degree centigrade. Now take the same T1 value in Kelvin unit. That means you will get 298 Kelvin, and the T2 value in Kelvin unit you will get 299 Kelvin. Okay, so if you do in this case also the difference between the temperature dt, in this case also you will get 1 Kelvin. That means when you are talking about the change in temperature, in that case degree centigrade and Kelvin is same. Okay, when you are talking about change. Okay, that means the definition of heat capacity can also be like this. If you want to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin, so if you want to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin, then the heat required for it is known as heat capacity. Fine. Okay. If you also take into account the amount of substance, then in that case when you are talking about 1 mole, then it is called molar heat capacity. And when you are talking about 1 gram, in that case it is called specific heat capacity. Fine. Okay. So when you are talking about 1 mole, then you are saying it is molar heat capacity. When you are taking into consideration 1 gram, then it is called specific heat capacity. Fine. Okay. So you know that heat capacity is a path function. So heat capacity is a path function. That means when we will study heat capacity, that means in that time we have to take into consideration the path which is taken to achieve the final state from the initial state. Now we will study heat capacity under two paths. One is a constant pressure path and another one is a constant volume path. Constant pressure path, that means Cp, and constant volume path, that means Cv you are talking about. Now heat capacity we know is a ratio of dq to dt. That means when we are talking about Cp, that means at constant pressure, that means dq by dt at constant pressure, and when you are talking about Cv, that means heat capacity at constant volume, that is dq by dt at constant v. Fine. Okay. Now again let's talk about internal energy. Internal energy is U. This is U. Now the internal energy can be written as a function of temperature and volume. This we know. Okay. Now if you write u as a complete in the complete differential form. That means if you want to write du, when u is a function of t and v, then you can write du is equal to del u del t at constant v into dt plus del u del v at constant t into dv. This we know from our previous discussion. So you can write du is equal to del u del t at constant v into dt plus del u del v at constant t into dv. This you can write. Suppose this is equation 1. Okay, this is equation 1. Now from the first law of thermodynamics, what you can write is that dq is equal to du plus pdv. This you can write, or you can write as du is equal to dq minus pdv. This you can write. Now here you have du equal to du minus pdv. Now in this equation 1, you have du equal to this. So in this equation you put instead of du this thing, del u del t at constant v into dt plus del u del v at constant t into dv. Okay, so what you will get? You will get del u del v at constant t into dv plus del u del t at constant v into dt is equal to dq minus pdv. This you will get. Now let's assume a condition where the volume is constant. That means if volume is constant, that means dv is equal to 0. So if dv is equal to 0, then this part will be 0 because dv is 0 plus del u del t at constant v into dt at constant v is equal to dq at constant v minus, this will also be 0 because this is minus pdv and dv is equal to 0. Now we have discussed in our previous lecture that if you introduce a constant in the equation of complete differential, then the complete differentiation changes into partial differentiation. That means this dt will become del t and dq will become del q. Fine. Okay, so what you will get? Del u del t at constant v is equal to, you will get del q by del t at constant v, because this is a complete differentiation and this is also a complete differentiation. This will become partial differentiation because we have introduced a constant. Okay, so this we know from our previous discussion. So what we are getting here is that del u del t at constant v is equal to del q del t at constant v. Now we have already discussed that del q del t at constant v, that means this is equal to cv. That means heat capacity at constant volume. Okay, so what you are getting is that del u del t at constant v is equal to cv. So you can write from here is that du is equal to cv dt. Now if you do integration within a definite integral from u1 to u2 is equal to t1 to t2 cv dt, then from the left hand side you will get u2 minus u1, that means you will get delta u. Now this cv may be a function of temperature or may not be a function of temperature. Now let's suppose cv is not a function of temperature. That means cv will be out of the integration sign. So if you take t1 to t2 dt, that means you will get delta u is equal to cv into t2 minus t1, that means delta t. So you will get delta u equal to cv into t2 minus t1. This you will get when you have cv is not a function of temperature. Now we'll take a case. Now let's take a condition where the cv is a function of temperature. So du equal to Cv dt. Now if Cv is a function of temperature, that means from left hand side you will get delta U, and in this case if it is given that Cv is At plus Bt plus Ct square plus dt cube, then what you have to do, you have to write the Cv value and then you have to integrate it within a definite value of T1 to T2. That means when Cv is not a function of T, in that case you can put the Cv outside the integration sign, but when you have Cv is a function of temperature, in that case you have to put the value of Cv and you have to do the integration accordingly. Fine. Okay. So now if you write du in the complete differential form, the du equal to del u del v at constant t into dv plus del u del t at constant v into dt. So you are getting du is equal to del u del v at constant t into dv plus this is Cv, so Cv dt. This you are getting now. So if you want to get the value of du, so you have this in this part Cv dt, and in this part you have del u del v at constant t into dv. That means you have to get the value of this quantity del u del v at constant t. Now the value of, we can get the value of this quantity from Joule's experiment. So we can get the value of this quantity from Joule's experiment. So now we'll see what this Joule's experiment is all about. Now we'll see the Joule's experiment. So now we'll see Joule's experiment. Suppose there are two vessels, vessel A and vessel B, and these two vessels are connected with each other via a stopcock. Suppose there is vessel A, this is A, this is connected with another vessel B, okay, and there is a stopcock in between. So vessel A and vessel B are connected via a stopcock. So this is stopcock, okay. So vessel A and vessel B are connected via a stopcock, and vessel A is filled with gas at certain pressure. So in vessel A there is gas, okay, and vessel B is completely evacuated. Fine. So there are two vessels, vessel A and vessel B. These two vessels are connected with each other and they are connected via a stopcock. The vessel A is filled with gas at a certain pressure, and the vessel B is completely evacuated. Now the entire assembly is immersed in a large vat of water. Okay, so this is water. Okay, this is immersed in a water. This is water bath. Okay. Okay. Now the suppose thermometer is also there to measure the temperature. So this is thermometer, and there is also a stirrer here. Okay, by which you can stir. There is a stirrer. Okay. Now the entire assembly is immersed in the large vat of water and is allowed to come to thermal equilibrium with water. So the entire assembly is immersed in a large vat of water and is allowed to come to thermal equilibrium with the water. So what is happening? In short, there are two vessels A and B that are connected via stopcock. Vessel A is filled with gas at certain pressure. Vessel B is evacuated. This whole assembly is immersed in a water bath and is allowed to come to thermal equilibrium with the water. There is a thermometer to check the temperature change, and there is a stirrer, so that it will be easy to reach the thermal equilibrium. Fine. Okay. Now suppose stopcock is open. So the stopcock is open. Okay. When the stopcock is open, the observations what we will get will write down. Okay. So the observations we will write down. The first observation is that what you will get is that the gas expands and fill up the total volume. So when the stopcock is open, the first observation what you will get is that the gas expands and fill up the total volume. The gas has filled up the total volume. That means from the first observation what we can write is that dV is not equal to 0 because the gas has filled up the total volume. Okay. Now the second observation is that no change in temperature was observed. So no change in temperature was observed. From here what you can conclude is that dq will also be equal to 0. And the third observation is that there is a free. Now the third observation is expansion occurs against zero opposing pressure. That means the work minus PdV, here expansion occurs against zero opposing pressure. That means P is equal to 0. That means work will be equal to 0 because work is according to IUPAC minus PdV and P is 0 because the expansion occurs against zero opposing pressure. So the three observation what we are getting, dV is not equal to 0, dt is 0, that means dq is also 0, and the expansion is a free expansion. Okay. Now from first law of thermodynamics, what you know, dq equal to du plus pdv. Now from Joule's experiment, this dq, from Joule's experiment, this dq is equal to 0. You have this side du plus this pdv is also 0 because there is a free expansion. That means du is equal to 0. Now du means you have cv dt plus del u del v at constant t into dv is equal to 0. Okay. Now the another observation of Joule's experiment what we have discussed is that dt is equal to 0. That means this part is 0. 0 plus del u del v at constant t into dv is equal to 0. Now another observation of Joule's experiment is dv is not equal to 0. That means if dv is not equal to 0 but the multiplication of del u del v at constant t into dv is 0 and dv is not equal to 0, that means from here we can conclude that del u del v at constant t is equal to 0. Fine. Okay. Because you see here del u del v at constant t into dv is equal to 0, but dv cannot be equal to 0. This we have got from the observation. That means that this part del u del v at constant t will be equal to 0. This we are getting from Joule's experiment, and this is true for ideal gas. That means for ideal gas what we can write is that du, you write like this, del u del v at constant t into dv plus del u del t at constant v into dt. So this part del u del v at constant t for ideal gas, this is 0, plus del u del t at constant v is cv, this is dt. That means du you are getting cv dt. That means what you can write from here is that u is a function of temperature. Now we started with u is a function of temperature and volume, and for ideal gas what we are observing is that u is only a function of temperature, but this is true only for ideal gas, you can write. And this we are getting after we have discussed the Joule's experiment. So if we summarize today's lecture, then in the very beginning we have discussed about work, heat, internal energy. Then we have discussed about the first law of thermodynamics, and from first law of thermodynamics we can write delta U equal to Q plus W or dQ equal to du plus PdV. Then we have discussed about heat capacities, heat capacity at constant volume, heat capacity at constant pressure. Then we have discussed about internal energy. Then we have discussed about the Joule's experiment, and from Joule's experiment we have seen that del U del V at constant T is equal to 0, and from here you can conclude that du equal to CVDT. That means U is a function of temperature only, but for ideal gas. Okay, so that's it for today's lecture.